Welcome, partners. Welcome to the June Power Play Cash Out Refinance Strategies. My name is Mike Budd. We're going to jump into our content for time's sake and make sure that we're sharing for you not only what these strategies are, but how they can play into the power play for June and your ability to stack up to 60 basis points on cash out transactions. But you might be thinking to yourself right off the rip, like, okay, well, Mike, who are you? So let's start there with a little introduction here for you. Again, my name is Mike Budd. If you don't recall me from some of the videos that are in your Rocket Pro University, such as the Sales Essentials, I have been with the organization here at Rocket for 20 years, and that entire time, all 20 years of that, I've either been originating loans or I have been supporting sales in some capacity. I've been a sales performance consultant. I have been a sales coach. I've been a sales trainer. But you're going to get a little bit of a bias here from me because I support sales. I am in sales. You're going to get that sales aspect. So what that means for you is that I'll probably be trying to make this very easy for you to apply in your business your way. Because you can't sound like me and I can't sound like you. I try to provide information. It's like, hey, this is a way to do it. This is not the one way. There's no silver bullet in sales. So before we get into our roadmap and the things that we want to get accomplished, I do want to call out the specific partner promises and how I believe that what we're doing here is trying to effectively help you. So if you're not familiar with our partner promises, these are at Rocket Pro. These are our guided decision making on how we provide information, how we provide technology to you. These 10 promises are real, practical commitments to the independence, growth, and transparency that you deserve as a partner of ours. So they're not just words here. These are these are the ways that we guide all of our decision making. So it doesn't matter if you're a current partner or if you're a potential partner. These promises are how we show up as an ally for you and our entire broker community. That being said, here you can see that I have number 6 highlighted here for you. And I'll just speak to that for a second. We grow your brand, you grow your business. For me personally, looking at it and approaching today's specific strategy around refinance cash out and stacking that with the promotion, I right away think that I believe strong brokers really continue to create value and conversations even when the market activity slows. So, regardless of where you're at right now in the country, you may be experiencing some of that. I think that many of us were hoping that it would be a little bit different from a rates environment, from an affordability standpoint, from the ability to find and buy homes. But there are some things that are working in our favor, such as the abundance of equity that Americans have right now in their homes. So, when I say that, I think that things like strategic pricing, smart outreach, when you would reach out to either your past client, to a prospect, to a referral, to someone in your sphere of influence, is very important and helps in driving relationship engagement. Because it's not just about the time in which you transact with someone, it's about making sure that they understand that you're supporting them throughout every step in life from a mortgage standpoint. So here's what we're going to be able to do by the end of this session. I'll put a couple things up, but I'm going to speak to these specifically. We mentioned, and we're going to talk about here in 1 second, the June Power Play and how you can stack some promotions that are taking place. But I'd like to spend a little bit of time today explaining how we can leverage those specific advantages in a market that many of you are probably looking at and saying, how do I strengthen my position, within the refinance side, or how do I get more of it? So we're going to do that through very easy to have conversations. You're going to get a version. I'll typically say a version because there's no silver bullet in sales. It's what works best for you. So you'll get a rendition of mine, and hopefully that inspires you to really make it your own, as well as find it easy to implement. We're also going to talk about new opportunities created through this this new promotion that we have because cash out. Um, right now with every American sitting on an abundance of equity, there's never been a better time. But I'll save some of that when we talk about the market and where things are. I'm sure that you all could tell me a little bit as well about what you're seeing in your neck of the woods. Lastly, we're going to talk about the relationships and how we build those strategies, not only for this summer, and what could be and really should be a very strong purchase season right now. It just hasn't seemed to come to fruition as much in everywhere across the country. But as we prepare to launch RPX as well, we want to make sure that we're giving you the best information possible when you need it most, when it's critical for your business. So let's bring in the June Power Play. If you have not had an opportunity to see this, I'll bring them all up here, but we are going to be specifically talking about that that middle portion of the slide there, the expanded cash out opportunity, where there's an additional 20 basis points for loan level pricing adjustments on conventional and government loans that are cash out. You can stack on top of that existing 40 to get yourself a total of 60 basis points. That's going to be a big part of the driver here for us today, but that's not to make light as well. If you are taking advantage, I would encourage you to continue to take advantage of the 100 basis points stacked credit for the purchase and leveraging Compass. If you have agents that are inside of Compass, to do that piece. And lastly, we kind of spoke about this already, but the RPX registration launch that's coming up, there will be a significant tech contest. It's called the Big Pitch. So I'm sure that you'll be speaking with your account executive about that soon. You'll see communication. I'm sure you'll see it on the Rocket Pro Instagram as things start to unfold. But we are going to focus here in this session specifically on the expanded cash out opportunity, because having that total of 60 basis points is leaving a good opportunity for us in the month of June to really create these strategies to reach out to both past clients and prospect new clients, whether they're coming in from a referral or from your sphere of influence. But we mentioned that we were going to talk a little bit about the summer of 2026, and really from a market landscape, it's been pretty interesting thus far as we start to really look at what things are shaping up, what we thought was going to happen, at the start of the year. Now sitting at June, we're halfway. Can you believe this, through 2026? But for a competitive purchase market, I mean, it's slower lead flow. We've got clients that, right? You have clients that are waiting on rates, to come down, or quite frankly, affordability. I mean, isn't that all of us looking at everything from grocery prices to the cost of living in general? But I think that maintaining the engagement with your past clients and with any referral or anyone inside your sphere of influence can be done with ease, as long as you find the way to communicate and really just create a early, easy to navigate conversation. And I'll show you what that can look like here today. So, keeping momentum through the slow seasons, that's going to be the name of the game here. If you're off and running and you've got more business than you can handle, God bless you. But I can say with a lot of confidence that many folks are finding ways and doing what you all are doing. And I will put you on a pedestal. You're investing in yourself by being here because you recognize there's likely an inch to become better and to help more clients, to help my business. So we're going to talk about identifying the client's needs for a moment. And ultimately, I think that this really starts with how to have the conversation. And if you've seen any of the videos that I personally in, you may have heard me say this before. I firmly believe that sales is all about getting people to think about things that they weren't thinking about prior to interacting with you. Now, what that looks like as a mortgage professional is that we work with numbers every single day. So having that perspective and knowing where things are and how things move on an hour by hour basis, let alone day by day, is very normal for us, but is not as normal for your clients and for your referrals and for your sphere of influence. So I'm going to ask you to consider taking that piece in mind, though, like people don't, they don't typically wake up in the morning and start thinking and breathing about their mortgage. How do I make my mortgage more efficient? And we started by saying, like, I'll speak this directly to you. We've already said that so many Americans have an abundance of equity. They don't necessarily know how to make that equity work for them, how to make their current outgoings more efficient. That's what we're going to focus on here today, because if you're doing this right, it can be as easy as making things simple for your client to understand and getting them to think about things that they weren't thinking about prior to speaking with you. So, we're going to start with something that I affectionately refer to the complimentary mortgage review. Now, when I say that, you think about the name complimentary. Most people love things complimentary. There's also a level of, okay, you're not necessarily asking for my commitment right now. Well, when we're doing this, when we're trying to get an open dialogue going with a prospect, even if it's a past client, oftentimes it's good to pull from them what they currently know about their situation or how things are going for them. So, regardless of if you did this loan for them 4 years ago, or if you're reaching out to a brand new lead, these are all applicable things. Either way, you're either going to engage with your client during a mortgage review, because that's really what it is. You're putting together a financial analysis of like what's currently going on, where does it hurt, how can we help? Or if you are speaking to somebody that you never have at all spoken with. And so when you see these questions that are on the PowerPoint here, these are all things that this is not a static, this isn't a checklist thing. There's no silver bullets in sales. So these are just things that we know are centered around what drives prospects' decision making. So it's not necessarily about qualifying, it's about understanding the current lay of the land. So even if I wrote this loan for you, I am likely still going to ask you, um, hey, remind me, what is the current balance right now? The reason why I would want to do that is I'd want to know how close are you to understanding what that number is. And now we're having a conversation. It doesn't feel like you're qualifying me. It doesn't feel like I'm at the doctor checking off a checklist. And how much is this? And no, make it conversational. The When we're talking about things like interest rates, and we're trying to make this a very, very realistic scenario for you. So somebody who got a loan 4 years ago, they might be sitting at 399. We know where current rates currently are at, right? And you're probably talking a lot of sixes, mid sixes with your clients right now. If they purchase their home and the original balance was $325,000, still 4 years ago, they're probably sitting on some equity there. So just kind of going through what that initial complimentary mortgage review could sound like, I would probably frame some things up. If you were my past client, I probably have already said it to you, but I would remind you, I'd say, hey, Joe, you may not remember this from when we first worked together, but I do complimentary mortgage reviews, and this is kind of like a health checkup to see where you're at, how things are moving within your current mortgage and your finances to find the efficiencies needed for your family to make sure you're in the best spot. So sometimes, it's like, hey, you're actually in the best possible spot, but a lot of folks are finding ways to save a lot of good money for their families, and any dollar saved right now is probably a good thing. So then you continue into the conversation. Now, that isn't a script, that's just conversation. And I would implore you all to take any piece of that or create it and make it your own. But making a conversation about looking at doing a mortgage, a complimentary, more of a review, like we're going to see if this makes sense or if it doesn't. In the worst case scenario, you're going to have a great perspective on where you're at financially when it comes to your mortgages and your other debts, as well as your goals for the family. Speaking of goals for the family here, you can see that in this complimentary mortgage review, we've spoken with the client and we've uncovered there with that last bullet point. It says, what are your current goals for your home or finances? We found out $10,000 to purchase a car for the daughter, probably a used car. all right? Probably like getting a driver's license, and then some efficiencies with two credit cards that sound like maybe they're a little thorn in the client's side. So by taking the questions, and again, there's no wrong or right way that you would ask these questions as long as they sound conversational with your prospects or your past clients, then you're having the complimentary mortgage review. It's a discussion. But when we find information out, it's how do we tee up what that next step would look like? So we would identify and verify a couple of things. So when it comes to the appraised value, if the client's estimated appraisal value is $380,000, you have resources available at your fingertips right inside of the partner portal. You can go into the property hub and take a look at what those are. You also find out a little bit more about those credit cards. I firmly believe in really investing some time to better understand. If a client says like, well, I got some credit cards that I want to pay off, I'd say, okay, that's good. I mean, it sounds like you're trying to be more efficient. Tell me about the credit cards. Talk to me. Well, I got a couple credit cards. Yeah, I just want to make sure I get them paid off. Cool, two credit cards, no problem. Talk to me about the first credit card. And then I want the client to ultimately tell me as much information as possible. What is the interest rate on that credit card? What is the payment? And I'm not looking at the credit profile to see what the minimum payments are. I want to know what that client is actually sending to that credit card. Got it. You have a Discover card. You owe roughly $8,000. And right now, it sounds like the what you can afford to send them on a monthly basis is $240. Okay, if you could pay more, you try to, but you're trying to get this paid off sooner than later. Got it. Second credit card, let's talk about it. Tell me the details on that one. How long have you had it? Really go deep with the client to understand the debt because that's going to tell you what the behaviors have been and why it's on their mind. In this case, we're looking at a 23% interest rate on the Discover card or that $8,000 card and a 19% interest rate on the $7,000 card, which, mind you, in my humble opinion, these are pretty tame interest rates for credit cards. As you can see, again, the client wants to purchase a vehicle, buy a used car for their daughter. And I think we're being pretty biased there as well and being a little bit forgiving. If you can find right now a $10,000 automobile loan from a financial institution at 5%, okay, that's pretty good. So I'm saying that to say we're really trying to build you realistic scenarios and show you that like there's still a ton that makes sense here. And you all know this that the math either maths or it doesn't math. And I think that that's what makes the complimentary mortgage review very simple, very easy. Because if the math maths and we can get our client engaged in thinking about the numbers within their finances differently than when they woke up, that's when sales really starts to happen. So here's what this could sound like for you. Once I've gathered up this information, I'd actually spend some time and speak to my client prior to really putting together and presenting the loan option. I would start by having them engage. So, I mean, in my hand is a pen, and I don't want you to underestimate the real value that this pen creates for you as a professional. The more that you can engage your client, whether they're face to face, whether you're on the telephone talking to somebody, the more you can have a real conversation with them, the better. And you all probably know this, but if you have a financial advisor in your mind, you know that the best financial advisors typically are going to involve some type of engagement with you. They either have a handout for you to fill out with them and they go through it with you. It's like you're doing it together. So the good old fashioned pen and paper, I'm a firm believer in this, been doing it for 20 years. I recommend it, but it's not something you have to do. But let me give you the psychology behind that after we show you exactly what it could sound like. Again, make sure that this is you and that you're comfortable with implementing these strategies. So first and foremost, it sounds like right now, and I'm going to make Ian, who's producing this, I'm going to make Ian, you're going to be the person that is my prospect, my client. All right. Ian, I'm going to ask you to grab a pen and paper and write a couple things down and check me right into the boards, my friend, if I'm wrong on any of this, because this is what we're going to use to structure to see if there's something that really makes sense for you. So first, the current loan. You're about 48 months into that current mortgage and you have a balance of just over $300,000. 300,000, 630 and 38 cents. Please write those two things down. 48 months, 300,000, $630 and 38 cents. Please write that down. All right. Next, I did take a look here. I leveraged some of the tools that we have available to us. I'm seeing that the value could be $420,000. Now, we can continue the conversation here once we find out if this makes sense or not, if there's some tangible options for the family. But please write down $420,000 current value, which would mean, and I need you to write this down as well, Ian, $120,000 in equity. And I commend you, and because you're effectively saying, you know what, I want to make that equity work better for me, more efficiently for me with the purchase of the vehicle for your daughter, and then eliminating those two cards from individualized payments, putting it into one. Now, finally, I do want to make sure that I understand what you had shared with me earlier. You've got the two credit cards, and then you're anticipating that worst case scenario, if you didn't do something here within the mortgage, you know that you got to do a loan for that car at about $300 a month. So I have this, write this down, $715 a month is what you would be saying, like, these are the things I'm going to continue to pay. With credit cards, and with the additional loan. Now, do you have all that written down? Ian would probably say yes. If he was in front of me, I'd see that he has it written down, and I would actually allow him to have an opportunity to ask me questions if he did. But if he's got everything together, at that point, I would start to really set the scene for what we're going to be talking about when I do present options. And it might sound something similar to this. Now, Ian, I'm already really seeing a couple things come to the top of my mind in terms of options for the family that can help. But before I structure everything, I'd like to know your perspective on this. Are you open to professional suggestions? Most people are going to say yes, right? And I'm really not trying to do anything but find out if, like, hey, are you open to looking at this from a different perspective? I'm not trying to get you to agree to say the word yes. I'm more so trying to find out, like, a permission slip. Do I have your permission to show you a different way of looking at these numbers that you may not have thought about this morning when you woke up? The permission slip, typically, you're going to have a client that's like, yeah, cool. I'll say that. Wonderful, because ultimately the decision's yours. But if I show it to you in a way that really is looking at things holistically, it may appear different to you. So in providing these solutions to your client, there's, of course, a few different ways to go. Now, I'll be very direct with you and tell you that there's, of course, the option of the client doesn't do anything. And in this case, we're going to put that information on the board here for you. Nothing changes except that new auto loan that they got at 5%. Their total outgoing would be $2,264.73 a month. That's with no change option. If I were presenting the options to the client, I would likely, and this is me personally, I likely, even knowing that they've put 4 years into this, I likely would still show a 30-year fixed mortgage or at least a 30-year amortization schedule. That's probably a better way to put it, because saying 30-year fixed is like, well, right now that makes sense, but I've originated loans when that didn't make sense to do. A second option for that client would be to do a cash out refinance where we're paying off the two credit cards, giving the client $10,000 for the auto loan for their daughter, and putting all four of those debts into one at a new interest rate of 6.5%, which is relevant for where we're at today, and a new loan amount of $335,000. Now, you'll notice already that, okay, we got a difference in payment. You don't have to grab your qualifier plus credit card. I'll do the math for you. The math difference is $147.30 a month. taking out the equity, leveraging that for both the car and the two credit cards, and still going from a 3.99 to a 6.5%. This is why there's a lot of options available for clients because, again, abundance of equity. The inefficiencies are found in both the credit cards and in the need for things like a vehicle for the daughter. I feel very confident in being able to show, and if you're not familiar, I would encourage you to go in and take a look within our Pathfinder resource and look for an amortization schedule. But I guarantee you that if I showed the client, Ian, in this case, Ian, here's how you can take that additional 147.30. If you just pay what you're paying now, the 2264.73, just continue to pay that on this mortgage, you'd have the entire loan, the debts, and the car paid off in X amount of time. But you're best, the person that's best, suited to control where that additional 147 goes. So after we close the loan, that's really up to you. Now, if you have someone that is like, I just can't do it and I can't go back in time, I've committed 4 years. Of course, there are options where you can show that client a 26-year mortgage. You know that's a product that we offer. But I really believe that the whole consultative piece of refinance is again the numbers. If the math maths, the math maths. And if you can leverage the amortization table that's inside of Pathfinder and do that. It's very simple. You could show both products and say, like, here's what you'd pay now. I'm telling you that you'd actually save money versus option two and three. You'd actually save more money on option two if you just paid what the client is currently paying on their mortgage. It's better than a 26 year. It would actually pay off likely about a month to 45 days sooner, and you'd probably save about $2,000 in interest over the life of that loan. So I say all that because ultimately this is about perspective. So I firmly believe that there are two primary reasons that someone buys something. They either don't have it and they need it, or they already have it and it's either broken, outdated, or deficient. These are the folks that you're really speaking to when it comes to the refinance transaction. I have it, but I'm not sure if it's broken. I don't know. It might be outdated. I think that there's a way for me to be a little more efficient. So regardless, if you're speaking to somebody and this every single day this is happening, people are communicating at, I have a 399, I have a 275, and they're still making choices to take and do a full-blown cash out refinance because right now the equity is abundant, the debts are also abundant for many Americans, and people are trying to find a way to be more efficient. The math will always math as long as you use the tools and have a great way to create dialogue. So you might be asking yourself, why did we do this? Well, like I had mentioned to you before, most people don't wake up in the morning and go, you know what? How do I make my mortgage more efficient? It might be in their brains, but they're not thinking about the numbers, which is exactly why I'm recommending that you have people take the pen and physically write down the things that you're speaking about. You're bringing back to them the exact scenario of what their current situation is. And I can tell you that this works, and you probably know that it works because if you were to call your internet provider right now and they were to tell you some details about when you got into that internet plan, how long you've been paying on it, what the increase, you'd be like, wow, I wasn't thinking about that this morning. That's exactly my point. This, in my opinion, is really how you stand out from your competition. This is how experts really act in that capacity of being an expert and helping your clients not only home for this time, but every time. This is, if I give you a great experience on a cash out refinance and help you understand that, you already know that I'm likely going to do this again within the next 4 years. And that's why the average American is going to be changing their finances every 3 to 5 years. It's been like that for my entire time in the industry. It will likely continue to be that way. So this is just a way to compare and contrast and help people make decisions with confidence. So I want you to consider we had said like the June power play that was something that is already rolled out, but let's make that real. Let's put some teeth behind that, everybody. Like you heard early on the ability to stack up to 60 basis points, but what does that actually mean? Well, in the loan that we did for Ian in this scenario, if you take that $335,000 and you multiply that by the 60 basis points, that's 200, or excuse me, that's $2,010 in real money, real savings. If that's going to help you win that business, if that's going to help you help your family, that opportunity is right in front of you. And this is how our partners are really taking advantage of the extra squeeze on the power play this month. So, as I start to wrap this up here with you, I just want to bring a couple things into perspective. Understand that pricing advantages, they're going to take, they're going to come and they're going to go. Right now, you have a great advantage to do it, but that opportunity to connect with your client and have a genuine conversation about where they're currently at, asking them for their permission for, to think about things differently, having them engage by writing things down. All of those things are repeatable processes that you can put into your business right now. And that's applicable across any transaction type. That's applicable to any specific environment that we're working in because that becomes a part of your ability to help clients. And I do believe that does create expanded cash out flexibility because client needs right now are a lot more than we probably would like. A lot of people have credit cards and they're trying to figure out how they're going to pay for things. They have an abundance of equity in their home. So this not only helps you with the relationship strategies, and we've mentioned about RPX, but I wanted to focus on this being really actionable for you. So as I bring this in, I'm just going to challenge you to think about this for a second. If you were to incorporate the complimentary mortgage review into your follow-ups and just make that like that's just you could call it that, you can call it whatever you like, but if you name it a thing and you believe in it, that it's hey, this is an opportunity for us to continue to evaluate and make sure that you're in the best spot possible. It's a very simple conversation. Taking the second actionable commitment, literally having the pen and just having people write things down and engage with you. Sometimes I can tell you this as a loan originator, sometimes we will say things in a speed and a cadence that is too fast for people to conceptually think of or write down. So it's good for both you and for your clients to be engaged with those numbers as you share them. And then the third thing here is you got to be able to like rep it out. And so whether you're going to spend some time speaking to somebody who's a family member, a past client, somebody from your sphere of influence, somebody that you have a close relationship from a real estate agent standpoint, you can ask them to go through this with you. Hey, this is something that I want to call our past clients about and have this conversation. So I'd like your feedback. But the thing is, you just simply you have to start to do it. The more you can do it, the more confident you can feel, the more it becomes you specifically, because you can't be me and I can't be you, the better. So I'm going to encourage everyone to join us on June 11th for the Work Smarter, Close Faster, a partner's guide to arrive that is coming up. And I'm also going to invite you all, if you do have questions, we'll have a live Q&A here. So you can submit your questions right meow for us to go through, answer, and see, what kind of conversation we can have, what kind of dialogue we can create. And if you don't, I would say thank you again for investing time both in your business and spending time here with me and allowing me to have a great conversation with you all around the importance of really taking advantage of the equity that all these Americans have right now. So we'll give a second here for you. If you do have questions, please, there is a Q&A button. You can put your questions in. I'm going to go in and pull that up to see if we have, and if we don't, no problem. I also invite you to that if you have questions based on what I've shared with you, my perspective, I know that our account executives love to talk sales, and I would implore you to please give them a phone call as well and bend their ear about it. Pull some best practices from them. Rep out how you want to do this with your account executive as well. They want nothing more than to help you find more business, win more business, and help more clients. So with that being said, we will sign off here for you. Let's see here. Hey, Monica, thank you very much. We're going to answer this live. Do we have any marketing materials for the complimentary mortgage review? Monica, we don't have any, like, it's not like a trademark thing. That's just something that like I say. So you can create your own, but I would actually encourage you too to reach out to your account executive to figure out what would be the best way to kind of position this. Because it's got to be, to your point, Monica, it's got to be more than just a word of mouth thing. Like you want to be able to mass communicate out. You probably got a good amount of clients on how to do that. But yeah, being direct, it's not something that is like, oh, this is what we officially call it here within Rocket Mortgage. That's just, it's a way that I communicate. Make it your own though. Make it better. My version is one way. Your version could be better. All right. We're going to wrap it up. To answer anyone else's questions here, this will be recorded. As you know, it will be posted for you to revisit if you want to hear any piece of it. And again, I look forward to seeing everybody on the 11th. I will be in as part of the group. Thank you very much. Sell well, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.